Welcome to my presentation on the flipped classroom, the pros and cons of flipping the classroom. We're going to just review some of the advantages and disadvantages of this approach. Just to remind ourselves, a flipped classroom basically involves the students preparing to participate before class, engaging with the concepts in class, especially in this kind of classroom the teacher has a facilitative role, not an instructional role. It's a much more student-centered approach in that respect, and then after class the students check their understanding and extend their learning. They also create anything or do something more engaging with the material. Some of the advantages include you get more one-to-one time with the teacher if you put the instructional aspect of the class outside of the class. Then the teacher can spend more time with each student. It should also minimize student downtime and teacher talk time as well. It also helps with students who learn at a different pace. They can pause, rewind, slow down the video, go back, check, repeat activities as many times as they want, which really helps to streamline the learning process to different student speeds. Another advantage is that students master concepts in class. They do the difficult part in class and the passive part outside class. So it's key that the students don't move on until they have mastered the concepts completely. And the teacher, of course, has a key role in that process. It also has the advantage of leveling the playing field. If students can't attend regularly or have physical impairments or other socio-economic reasons why they can't attend class regularly, flipping the class can really help level the playing field. The content is available to everyone so long as they have an internet connection and a screen. More on that later. Another big advantage is that for parents, it's good that they have access to the same content that the student has. So parents can really get involved with the learning process, particularly with younger students. If the parents know exactly how to pronounce a word and how it's spelt and what it means, then they're not going to misteach their children. So you don't have to work to undo any of that kind of problems, those kind of problems. On the downside, a flipped classroom can be interpreted as a very teacher-centered approach to teaching. Typically, the bread and butter of a flipped classroom is the teacher makes an instructional video, the students watch it, and then they do a quiz. And then they come into class and they work with the material in some more practical and active way. But nonetheless, there is still a teacher-led aspect. The videos are instructional, they are teacher-led by their nature. So there's less conceptual discovery or student-centered learning going on in that part of the class. There are some tricks you can use to minimize this aspect of flipped classrooms, but I think it's a valid criticism, but it depends how you flip the classroom. Another big problem is that some students just don't have internet access or don't have a screen. They don't have a way of watching the videos, or it's very inconvenient for them. And I think this is probably the most damning criticism of the flipped learning classroom. If the students can't access the material, then all of the advantages we talked about before, about leveling the playing field, they're lost. So it's very important that you consider whether your students can actually watch the videos or do the work. I mean, few of my students, they only have one computer. They can only use it once a week. They have to go to the library to use a computer. They don't have a smartphone. All of these things should be taken into account when you decide to flip a class. Another advantage, I don't know how this got here, is that the diagnostics and scoring is automatic. So some of the tools we'll be looking at, they all have automatic systems that show whether the student watched the video, how they did in the test, and so on. And so this can really streamline the diagnostic process. You can really see who's doing what. But another disadvantage is that a lot of the videos, a lot of the content on YouTube now have adverts, and there could be a principled argument against using adverts in education, particularly if you're teaching young learners. You might feel like it's inappropriate to direct your students towards a page where they might be exposed to inappropriate adverts or just adverts in general. Another criticism is that flipped learning increases screen time, and of course with young learners especially, but also with adult learners. If they spend all day at a computer, they might not want to spend any more time in front of a screen. Because we want to minimize the amount of screen time that students have, you might want to consider flipping a class only occasionally, or making sure that the students will spend 10 to 15 minutes on a flipped, maximum 15 minutes I think, on the flipped portion of the content of the class. I think that's quite reasonable. Of course, bearing in mind that different students will learn at different rates, you can't plan perfectly for this aspect, but nonetheless, the general rule is that a flipped video shouldn't be longer than 7 minutes. And a related criticism is that flipped classroom increases the volume of homework that students are allowed to do. Students have to do, sorry. So basically having pre-class homework and post-class homework will double the amount of homework that the students have to do. On the other hand, doing pre-class homework, as it were, really frees up class time to do a lot of the meat and potatoes that they would normally be doing as homework, particularly the most difficult learning type activities. They can be done in class because you've saved that time by doing it before. Now we're going to move on and look at some of the tools you can use to flip your classroom. Thank you very much.